we're headed when we played our last game of this season. Unfortunately, I cannot make that statement, which is why we have made this decision. We will hire a general manager, and that person will lead the effort to hire a new head coach. Okay, Harry, Marcus, and Kimberly all here with us. So, Marcus, let's start with you here. Should being in New York make the Giants a destination job?
Yeah, it should. It should, because you can compete. And listen, it is not that long ago in context of the NFL that the New York Giants were relevant. I understand what they've been going through for a number of years, but when you think about this franchise, this organization, and the support that they have, even through, remember, they had to get rid of a coach before Joe Judge, and before that with Shermer. They've had their issues over time. But when you look at this team and you look at the situation that the Giants have been in for these recent years, it all boils down to what the hires have been. And look, we focus on these coaches and we focus on these general managers, but John Mara got to be in the line too. He got to be in the line of fire with the decision making that he's had. Gettleman obviously coming from Carolina, with them going to a Super Bowl, you make that decision. There's some familiarity there, but nobody was going crazy or jumping head over heels when Gettleman became the general manager for the New York Giants. And then you look at Joe Judge, and look, 2 years is fast for a coach to get fired. Let me get that straight. And we talk about coaching opportunities in this league with black head coaches and the opportunities that they get. 2 years on the job is a very difficult. It's a small sample size to determine if a coach should be fired. But Joe Judge did this. This is almost like he would have done better going into in Mara's office and saying, "Hey, fire me, get rid of me," based on what he's done and based on how this team has not improved from week 1 to 17. The reason why people were so perplexed about Flores being fired from Miami, beyond black head coaches and that conversation that we have time and time again about their opportunities, but Flores had a team that ascended towards the end of the season. You could see improvement in the Miami Dolphins, so that's why that was a head scratcher. But to that point, when you listen, as a player, as a guy on a football team, when I see my coach allow 2 quarterback sneaks from our negative 5-yard line, I want him to be fired. I have no respect for him as a head coach. And a lot of this stuff that Joe Judge did seems so premeditated and manufactured and inauthentic. And I'm telling you right now, NFL players see through that. We understand what it looks like when it's real, even if the season is going bad, and we understand what it looks like when it's real, when the season is going well. Both of those things are entirely different. Joe Judge got an opportunity. I don't know why. I guess somebody thought he would turn out to be a great coach, and it turned into a disaster. And we need to also hold the New York Giants ownership accountable, because Joe Judge ain't the first poor, bad decision that the New York Giants have made recently.
No, they've screwed up several times in a row. He's actually the 3rd consecutive coach to be there 2 seasons or less. So,
yeah.
So I'm glad that Marcus brought up John Mara, because, but I will challenge you, Marcus, on the Giants being relevant, because I'm from New York. It's been 11 years since they've made 1 playoff appearance and they haven't won. Like, I covered their last Super Bowl win. It's been a long time, and yes, we've had 3 since Jerry Reese, the GM, was fired, and Tom Coughlin, the head coach, fired. We've had Ben McAdoo. We've seen Pat Shermer. Now Joe Judge. So will it be an attractive destination? Yes, because it's New York, and everything is better in New York, obviously. But
including this one right here.
But so like somebody like Brian Flores, he's from Brooklyn, like somebody else. He would want this job, I'm sure. But here's what all these candidates, these GM and head coach candidates, have to understand. This is an organization that's a blue blood. That's why we look at the Giants differently than we look at Jacksonville or Houston or some of these other places. Except in the last 2 years, the teams that actually have fewer wins than the Giants are teams like Jacksonville and Houston. The Giants have not been good. And this is an owner who cares a lot about what is reported around here, what the perception of this team is, as he should, because this is his baby, he owns it. But for the Giants to be a blue blood in the NFL, and to be, I don't want to say a laughing stock, but the Jets actually have are on a different level now than the Giants, and that should scare John Mara, because the way we talk about the Jets is different than we talk about the Giants. But if you're coming in for this job, you have to understand that this owner wants to win now, and he hasn't. He's tried to be patient, and he hasn't been. So that's what worries me about whether this will be a desired job. It will be, but will you be given the patience that Joe Judge wasn't, because John Mara, the owner, has made mistakes in hiring GMs and head coaches?
Well, I think the first thing that Mara did that was correct was making sure he fired Joe Judge, because you want to start everything fresh, right? You don't want your GM to be gone and then your head coach still there, and then you hire a new guy and now they're clashing at some point. So you want to start everything fresh. And let me take y'all, Kim, you from New York, right? So my brother played in New York for 3 years with the Knicks. The fan base there is one of the best in America, right? It's like New Jack City. I'm going to take y'all to the movie New Jack City. Remember how Pookie, he was fiending? Scotty is calling me, man. The fans is calling the fans. They want to win us so bad, lips ashy and everything. They want to win us so bad that they got to get somebody in there right now. And the next hire that they have, head coach or GM, I think is one of the most important in this organization, because you mentioned, Kim, that this team has, I'll say, 2 winning records in the last 10 years. They made the playoffs one time. And the one time they did make the playoffs, guys decided they want to go down and have Timbs on a boat when it's hot as hell outside before they play the Green Bay Packers. And we all know what happened then. But for right now, I think this is a destination franchise, and people want to come to New York because it's the Mecca. It's bigger. Everything's bigger in New York. And you have those fans that are hungry. Yes, the media and the backlash comes with it all, but you got to embrace that. You got to embrace it, and you got to love it at the same time.
Yo, listen. Okay, all right, listen, because this is a destination franchise. All right. The bottom line is the difference will become when you get a quarterback and when you get a player or two that's going to identify as leaders, when you get a head coach that know what the hell he doing.
Look at all the things you're listing. Look at all the things you're listing, though. Once we get a quarterback, they have a quarterback.
No, they don't. No, they don't. They don't have a quarterback.
They don't have a good one. They don't have one.
Not at all.
But it's like technically they have. Yeah, once we get a head coach, once we get that quarterback, once we get a couple good players,
Kim,
man, we're going to be rolling.
Hold on 1 second. And this your thing. Like, you've covered the Cleveland Browns more than anybody. You think about what that franchise was until they made a few decisions to get a little bit better. That's why I brought up John Mara. Because ownership ultimately got to realize what's good and what's bad about the NFL. The reason why we went crazy, listen, we are 3 African Americans sitting on First Take right now. I went crazy because Flores was having success. I didn't go crazy because he was fired as a black coach. If you're a good damn coach, I don't care if you're white, black, blue, or yellow. You're a good coach. So we saw him ascend at the end of the season. This is, to your point, this is the 3rd time. When they hired McAdoo, who in the hell was excited about that? No one. When they hired Pat Shermer, who was no one. When they hired Joe Judge, we all were trying to figure out for the first 2 weeks, who in the hell is Joe Judge? So the ownership needs to have some responsibility, probably more than we giving them, because we can focus on Joe Judge. He on TV, getting beat to sleep every Sunday. We can focus on the general manager and all of that. Until you make a conscious decision as ownership of NFL franchises to make the right football decisions and not think that, oh, he coached with Belichick, so he's going to be good. How many organizations have we seen be stupid and do that? Detroit had Matt Patricia, and they tried to hold on to him just because he coached with Bill Belichick. Here's the thing. A destination franchise becomes a destination franchise when you hire a good GM. You get a coach that understands what the hell he's doing, and that general manager can go out and acquire talent. You don't think if Russell Wilson wants to get out of Seattle that the Giants wouldn't be a franchise or organization that he would look at more so than anywhere else? That's my point. From a football standpoint, Kmart, you are absolutely right based on what we've seen the last 2 years as a product of football. But all 3 of us are sitting here remembering what the hell the Cleveland Browns were. We all remember what the Cincinnati Bengals were. We all remember what the Houston Texans were, and these franchises that we've seen in the abyss for so long. And then you see general managers get hired, and then you see competent head coaches, and coincidentally, they get a quarterback because they make good decisions, and the franchise changes. The Giants are not far from that. They are so close to that if John Mara makes a decision to hire football people that has shown the ability to know what they're doing as opposed to guessing and hoping that things work out. I'm sorry I got emotional, y'all, but I just can't. I don't want to live in a football world where we don't think the Giants is a destination franchise. Michael Strahan, the biggest face in media, that come from playing with the Giants and having success. Eli Manning making $100 million every time that damn megacast come on ESPN because he played for the New York Giants. I am a product of the Dallas Cowboys. I get a lot of things because I played for that franchise. I ain't make one Pro Bowl. I wasn't one All-Pro. I ain't win no Super Bowl, but there is something about those particular places and franchises that people gravitate to. Thank y'all for that, by the way.
You know, it's true, though. You come in, you help to win a championship for a New York team. You will be a legend forever. You are cemented in stone. And look, we know one thing about the Giants. They are the worst, the actual worst team in the NFL over the past 5 seasons, posting a 22-59 record. That is disgusting.
One more.
That means
one more thing, Charlie. Let's all remember too, y'all. As we look at Jacksonville right now, 4 years ago that team was in the AFC Championship. So it changes quickly.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you make good decisions.
If you make good decisions, that's all.
Ownership.
Right. Here's to good decisions. Here's to some good decisions.
And
now, speaking of decisions, Marcus, you played for the Cowboys. So, you know, let's look at where they're at right now. Some teams, you know, they're just happy to be in the postseason, but the Cowboys are not that. They are not resting on their laurels. So when Jerry Jones was asked yesterday about whether or not there's a Super Bowl or bust mentality within the organization, he was very quick to answer.
Jerry, how do you define success once you make the play? Is it title or bust for you?
Oh, unquestionably. There's no in between. You really go into it with the expectation of being in the playoffs. To get here, you need to have distinguished yourself, and then once you get here, all bets are off. And a lot of that has got to do with availability of your players at that time. We're in good shape. We're in real good shape right now, and so you know, we should be excited and be planning on it.
Okay, he speaks no lies, but Harry, is Super Bowl or bust realistic for the Cowboys?
Charlie, it doesn't even matter. They about to lose in the first round to the San Francisco 49ers, and that's who I'm picking. Yeah, Swagoo. I'm going there today, baby. I'm going there today. They got the bad draw. They got the worst draw of anybody in the NFC. If it's one team, no team want to play, especially in the first round, it's the San Francisco 49ers. When you look at this team defensively, they're top 10 against the run, top 10 against the pass, they're top 10 in sacks. Then you flip over offensively. They're top 10 in the run. They're 12th in passing. This team is built to be any and everybody because they're physical. Their physicality breeds a different brand of football that we played when we was in the league, Marcus Spears, and you know that. The Cowboys right now, I can't trust them. I don't know what I'm going to get. I don't know if Dak going to complete passes. I don't know if the receivers going to run the right routes. I don't know if the defense going to get turnovers. If they don't get the turnovers, we already seen what's going to happen if they don't get that. We seen that against the Arizona Cardinals. So right now, I do not trust the Cowboys, and I got them losing in the first round to the San Francisco 49ers.
Oh my God, I love this energy. I love all of this 49 energy over all the airwaves that we've been talking about. Ain't nobody breaking no news about the San Francisco 49ers being tough to defend. That is a hard draw for anybody in the NFL. But and I get it. Like I get it. I'm the Cowboy guy, beat up on me and all of that. Why do we look at a 12-5 record like it's like it need to be questioned? And we don't do that for no other team in the NFL. Why do we look at this football team who's won 5 out of the last 6 games they played in? And I get the competition and all of that. But every time we talk about teams that people like and we bring up competition, the whole answer is, well, this is the NFL, so let's go to football. Last week when I watched
that don't matter right now, though. It's
Hold on
playoff
one
time.
second. Hold on one second, Harry.
I just
That don't
need,
matter right
Marcus,
now.
Marcus, I just need you to come out your feelings just a little bit.
not in
Come
my
back
feelings.
to us.
I'm
Come
not-
out the feelings. Come back to us in reality.
I think he's on the verge of that.
I'm not in my feelings.
This is the setup.
I'm about to go back to last week.
Okay. Okay.
When this team was playing the Los Angeles Rams, the week prior, I had a conversation with Dan Orlovsky about, are you not concerned about Matthew Stafford turning the football over? And he said no. And he said, because I know him personally, and he's going to play better down the stretch. But in that game, I saw the San Francisco 49ers fall behind 17-0. And I want to give them credit for sticking to their identity and who they are as a football team. They're a really good football team, led by Deebo Samuel and George Kittle in this run game with Shanahan and his ability. Yo, it's a spin cycle. I ain't about to get on the network and be any different than anybody else when it comes to the San Francisco 49ers. But they have lost 7 games this year. Like, I think, here's my issue with the energy of the 49ers. Everybody talking about them like they like the Super Bowl favorites or something. And I get it. I get it that Dallas has not shown well in some offensive games. I get it that they lost to the Arizona Cardinals. I understand all of that. And then when I just want the same type of energy for everybody else. Since Harry just said it, don't none of that matter. We about to go in the playoffs. So why does it matter that they a tough draw? Why are the Cowboys not a tough draw, Harry?
The Cowboys are a tough draw. First of all, the Cowboys are a tough draw, except so are the 49ers. This is not like Harry said, this is not a team you want to face.
Kmart, can I ask you one question? I'm not trying to cut you off. Can I ask you one question?
No.
Can I ask you a question? And I need an honest answer because I want to hear your answer to this. The energy that you've seen put towards the 49ers, don't it seem like the Cowboys don't have a chance?
Because we don't know
we don't know what
Cowboys team we're going to see.
We're not saying they don't have a chance.
They have the roster to compete for a Super Bowl. But each week, you're like, are we going to see the run game? Are they going to come out fast? Are they going to score first? Like, how's that going to look? Like, what's going on?
Is Mike McCarthy going to trick it off?
Right.
We don't know.
Is Mike McCarthy going to cost them a game? Is he going to like, these are the questions. So when you say this team is 12-5, there are a lot of questions for a Dallas team that I was very high on to start the season.
Gotcha.
Like, they have a roster that could win a Super Bowl, but there are just too many questions and inconsistencies.
And the 49ers don't have none.
What? Getting your feelings again.
But
No,
the Cowboys came into the season with much
asking.
higher expectations than the
I'm
49ers.
legitimately.
But you just talked about the star. You talked about how there's an aura, mystique that comes with the Cowboys. This is why I said every single week that this team plays a game is a referendum on the star. Because you want them to, you expect them to win the division. It's a terrible division. Then you expect them, this is a team that can go to the NFC title game and potentially win that and get to a Super Bowl. But when they are inconsistent, when it looks like, is Dak in a slump? Is he not? Is he hurt? We got the ankle, we got the shoulder, we got the calf. Like, what's going on? There are too many questions for a team this good. That's all we're saying.
I pray that we. I pray that all three.
And look at the money that the Cowboys spent on so many different positions. They were expecting a lot out of this team. Otherwise, they wouldn't have put up that much money.
We know what we're going to get from the San Francisco 49ers. We don't know what the hell we're going to get from the Dallas Cowboys.
Do we?
We don't.
Do we, Harry?
No, we don't.
See
Well, Jimmy
what
G,
you
we don't
just
know what we're
said,
getting from Jimmy G.
What you just said is my issue, because so Jimmy G has ascended now because he had a few good drives against the Rams. So now because every other game we talk about, I promise you this, Charlie, I want you to pay attention all across the network the rest of the week. Rest of the week and leading into these games. Every single time we talk about a team, we're going to talk about their quarterback and how impactful. But it seems to me that everybody is sold on Jimmy Garoppolo because of the Rams game.
We're not.
I'm not.
I never said that. I never said I was sold.
Look at
Let me ask y'all a question. Let me ask y'all a question. Real talk. Y'all know I care about the Cowboys. I don't care about you talking about my feelings. I care about them. But I really got to ask this question because I have been watching this on shows that I'm not on. The type of energy that's been given to the 49ers, it is doomed for the Cowboys. Am I wrong by saying that?
I don't think you're wrong. I think a lot of people are high on the Niners right now.
Bet. So the 49ers have become the team in the playoffs that everybody should fear. That's what we're hearing, right?
Well, guess what,
Charlie,
Marcus? The good news is we have to go to break, but we
just
are
want
coming back to
this.
this.
What they say.
They say we got a bump.
Hey, bottle up all that energy, all that emotion, because we are coming back to this subject in just a little bit. So everybody,
I wish I had 2 more minutes for y'all.
It'll be all good. Okay, coming up, we got to move on. Monica and Jay coming back to debate Steph Curry's claim that one of his Warriors title teams could beat the 96 Bulls. Yeah, he definitely said that. Plus, Bill Belichick is back in the playoffs, but has he already won won his last Super Bowl? Someone here says yes. More First Take coming your way. Love it. Five best players for the Bulls team. We had Ron Harper, Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, Tony Kukoc, and Dennis Rodman. In the Championship Warriors squad, we had Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Andre Iguodala, Kevin Durant, and Draymond Green. Okay, both stacked teams, but ooh, these are some very bold statements being made. So, Jay, Will, I pose this question to you. Do you believe the 2017 Warriors could beat the 1996 Bulls?
Yeah. I think that the 2016-2017 Golden State Warriors is the best basketball team ever assembled. Now, I have some things for you just to kind of break it down, guys, because, you know, they won 67 games. Now, Kevin Durant missed 20 games that season. 20 games that season, and this team won 67 games. So I think there's a delineation between, hey, GOAT season, because I have to give that to the Bulls because they won 6 or 7 more games, right, as opposed to GOAT team. But when I think about the makeup that this team has had, even if you say Kevin Durant and Michael Jordan, you know, nix each other, all right? Tony Kukoc, I'll take Andre Iguodala against him all day long. I'll take Draymond Green going against the likes of Dennis Rodman. I'll take Klay Thompson going against the likes of Scottie Pippen. And then the question is, who's going to guard Stephen Curry? The talent that was on the floor for this Golden State team is two of the best shooters we've ever seen to play the game of basketball. Combined with one of the most efficient, if not the most efficient scorer, who's a 7-footer in the game of basketball, with a defensive prowl like Andre Iguodala, and then a guy like Draymond Green, who is defensively aware and the basketball IQ is off the charts, and the continuity and the style in which they play. I think Golden State would win this series in 6, guys. I truly do. I don't think the game of basketball has ever seen the offensive firepower and the style in which they play and how they can space out the floor and the three-point shot. They've never seen a game like a style of game like this before in the history of basketball.
That's a fact.
They haven't.
Monica, what do you think?
That was good, Jay. That was good. And I think when I start to do these hypotheticals as the daughter of an official, I immediately go to the style in which the game was played and the way it was officiated. And so, yes, Jay, and I really enjoyed that because, like, this is fun. This is a fun, real rabbit hole to go down. I just don't think that the way the 2017 Warriors were able to move so freely is a thing with this 96 Bull squad. I think defensively, it's a little more challenging than just those one-on-one matchups. And so I'm still, and maybe, again, call me a purist, I'm still going with Jordan and company. I just think that the physicality and the nature of the game, it would not have been as free-moving in terms of what made the Warriors so very successful. So I'm still going with the Bulls on this one.
Monica, all I'm going to say to you about this is I get the physicality of the game. Both you and I played the game. So what I do is play the game. If I want to come down the lane, you want to chop off my head, fine, bring it. Let's not act like players in today's game couldn't adapt to the physicality of the game and what it was in the 90s, first off. Secondly, to combat the physicality, fine. Chase me around.
Yeah,
Chase
true.
my ass around.
Yeah, I got
the
you.
whole game, Ron Harper, Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, because all we're running is continuity all the time. When you think about they run over 10 miles per game with the way they move. That style of basketball didn't exist back in the 90s. It was way more isolated. And I don't think the Bulls could ever really adjust to that defensively as it relates to having the bandwidth or the conditioning to handle that.
You know,
I hear you. Go ahead, Swagger. Come on.
Yeah. I'm on the side with Jay. I thought I was gonna have to battle both of y'all with this, with this argument with the Chicago Bulls. Listen, and granted, like when Jordan is in the conversation, it's hard to say anybody would have won. I mean, he won 6 championships in that era. But you brought up a great point, Monica, because I was gonna ask both of y'all the question: what era are we talking about? Because the eras to me are not as significant. And I understand hand checking, I understand bumps, I understand how physical it is. But I just don't subscribe. Jay, relax. I'm with you. I don't subscribe to this fact that these superstars that we watching now wouldn't be superstars because you could defend them harder. I just will not subscribe to that.
The game's different, though.
I've heard this argument.
But Swagoo,
But, Mon, you
think
know
that's a
basketball
slight
as well as
oversimplification. Go ahead.
anybody. You know basketball as well as anybody. Movement makes you a great team in basketball. That's what it does. You either got a superstar, you either run a great pick and roll, or you create movement. That's how you become really good basketball teams. What we watched the Golden State Warriors do before Kevin Durant was one of the best offenses we had ever seen in the NBA. So now you want to go to a one-man game. You want to go to a two-man game. You want to spread the floor. You want to create a two-man game on one side of the floor.
Go ahead,
yeah,
boy.
you got Jordan and Pippen who can hoop and can create a two-man
Don't do that,
game.
Jay.
But I'm gonna take Steph Curry and Kevin Durant in a two-man game on one side of the floor before I take pretty much anybody outside of if you put LeBron and Kobe together, that's totally different. But you telling me I could have the greatest shooter and the greatest scorer run a two-man game against any team in the NBA, and that wouldn't be as effective based on errors? I just don't subscribe to that. That's why I'm with Jay. Because the one common denominator that has never changed since the beginning of time in basketball. When I was watching Jay at Duke, when I was watching you at Georgetown, if you can shoot the damn basketball, you got a chance to win games. And this team has shot it better than anybody we've ever. Think about this, Mon. Ever seen. They have shot the basketball consistently better than anyone we've ever seen in the NBA. We all agree they got the greatest shooter to ever play in the NBA. We all agree.
We do.
And I remember 3 years ago that we had Clay in the conversation as one of the better two-way players we had
ever played the
seen
game.
in the NBA. So let's not disregard defense either, because Andre Iguodala was locked down at certain points in his career. That's how we talked about him, minus not even really giving him credit for his offensive prowess. I'm going to take a seat. I'm going to let my basketball aficionados talk about the hoop game. But I 100% agree about this Golden State take with you, Jay, because errors don't matter when you got guys that can pull up from the timeline and consistently knock it down.
All I'm going to ask you, Monica, really quickly is, are today's players in the WNBA better than players were 20 years ago?
Yes.
Okay. So, like, when everybody says today's players are the most skilled players in the history of the game,
they are
better than what players were 20 years ago.
Okay,
Combined three Hall of Fame.
That's enough. That's enough. That's
So 20
enough.
years from
Y'all
now,
have
we're going
made
to see
y'all's
better players than
point.
today, too.
Okay.
Potentially, yes. If the game keeps moving in that direction, yes.
Okay, well,
Listen,
then I guess.
I love the rabbit hole. Go, Charlie.
No, I was going to say, I guess the conclusion of this conversation is Jay, you're going to need to be fanning off those 1996 Bulls because there's no way they would be able to keep up with the Warriors.
Death to me and Jay mentions.
That's what it
God
looks
bless
like.
y'all. I could care less.
Thank you, Pastor Swagger.
Amazing, guys.
Please pass your money in this collection
This was a good one. Okay, well, still to come here on First Take, Buffalo claimed the division, but who will win this weekend's wild card game? We're talking Pats and Bills. Plus, neither Baker Mayfield nor Carson Wentz could get their teams to the playoffs, but which of these two quarterbacks would our analysts rather have next season? Those answers might surprise you. More First Take on the way. Stay with us. ACL during Monday's national championship game. Those sources say doctors believe that after surgery within the next 10 days, Williams will retain his sub 4.3 speed and they expect a full recovery. A junior in 2021, Williams is eligible to enter the 2022 NFL draft and was projected to be drafted 8th by the Falcons, according to Todd McShay's latest draft. Okay, so, he has to have surgery, but this is good news. They expect a full recovery. Marcus, what's your reaction?
My reaction is obviously devastating when you look, man. These kids go to college to go to the NFL. That's why they go and they play at these universities for football. And we love our school. Y'all know how much I done rep for LSU. I want to play for LSU. But if I'm going to be a top 5 pick and I'm not playing a national championship, I will think very hard about if I'm going to play in another bowl game. And I know all of the college guys that cover the game hate to hear that, but that's the reality because what becomes more important is taking care of your damn family. and trying to get yourself out of certain situations that you may be in when this opportunity presents itself. With that being said, when you go to Alabama, you expect to play for national championships, and James Wilson made the right decision to play in this game like so many stars have, and we've seen them be healthy and come out of these games. But when these particular situations happen, it brings another thing into the fold about how much these guys look at the college game as a tool to get to the next level, and what are you willing to risk? I've said it before. If you're playing for a national championship, you're going to go after that because it's highly important with your career. But ultimately, these guys got to look out for themselves, and he'll be fine, thank God.
Thank goodness he's right.
Yeah, I agree. If you're not playing for a national championship, then you can go ahead and pack it up and start training for the draft. That's another reason why I think they should start expanding the college football playoffs, because you'll have more guys playing. But at the end of the day, these guys are smarter now, right? They understand that their body is their temple and it's an investment. I hate it for Jamison Williams because it's a guy that transferred from Ohio State. He's electrifying. He does kickoff returns. He'll beat you at wide receiver. He's a gunner on punt team. He just loves the game of football. But I hate this happened to him. Not only him, but his counterpart, John Mechie III, as well.
Yeah, well, we know that Jamison Williams' absence was definitely felt by Alabama. You know, who's to say that they couldn't have gone on and won that national championship should he remained healthy the entire time? But look, Harry, you mentioned electrifying, and we got to get back to another guy who is electrifying, because coming up, John Morant. He has become one of the best shows in basketball. Monica will be back with us to tell us just how high his ceiling is, and you don't want to miss it. Stay with us. So, Ja, is Memphis finally getting the respect it deserves?
How close are you getting to thinking you're getting the respect that this team deserves?
Well, I bet you we got it now. You go on social media. You know, we're one of the best teams in the league. So, like, you know, that's number one. And number two, I feel like, you know, we're showing, you know, how deep our roster is. No matter, you know, what's thrown at us, you know, we bounce back from it and, you know, come out and, you know, win games. We got to keep it rolling, continue to play together, continue to battle.
All right, well, it seems like they have a whole lot of fuel left for the rest of the season. And gosh, talk about respect. Stephen A. tweeting this last night. My apologies to the Memphis Grizzlies. I have slept on these brothers. I know John Morant is special, but I love their size, athleticism, depth, and perimeter shooting. This team is a legitimate threat in the West. They have my attention. Magic Johnson also given some props on Twitter. He said John Morant is must-see TV and has taken over as the most exciting player in the league, averaging 24 points, 6 assists, and 5 rebounds. Wow, those are some pretty big endorsements. And last week, Perk said that Ja's ceiling is Michael Jordan high. That is extremely high. So, Monica, do you agree? What do you think is a ceiling?
You know, Charlie, even last week, I pushed back on the MJ ceiling just a bit because I think the nature of MJ's career, he literally blocked people from getting championships. And I'm just not sure that in this era of basketball, Ja will have such a stranglehold on the game. But Ja, to me, and I had said Steph Curry last week in that I think Ja has the ability and will win championships in this league. But I think when you think of point guards with similar athleticism, a guy like Russell Westbrook, comes to mind. And you think of him, of course, breaking the triple-double record and the energy and fervor at which he plays. I think when you look at Russ's game, the assist part, I think we hear triple-double, but I don't know that people grasp the way that he has been able to make people around him better. I do think Ja has better handles, and I know that Swagoo has a great comp, but I'm going to go with the Russell Westbrook comparison in terms of the energy that he plays with day in and day out.
Yeah, man, I could understand why, the explosive nature, especially us watching Russell Westbrook throughout his career, but I get big AI energy. I get big Allen Iverson energy from Ja Morant, man. And it's almost like that the little guy that's doing things that's defying what we think little guys should be able to do in this league. And we all know how we hold AI to the standard and changing the game, not only in basketball, but culturally as well. And I just get a lot of those vibes. One of my favorite rappers, Moneybagg Yo, made a song about Ja, Rookie of the Year. And once you start getting songs written about you, it's different. You're becoming iconic organic. You're becoming cultural. You're starting to get a city and a state to kind of organize behind you and lead the way. Like AI played in Philly, and we all know how much Philly loves their sports team, but you got to deliver. There's a responsibility with coming with the way you talk, the way you carry yourself, the way you go after people. And the thing that I respect about his game, and I hate using the term cut from the old school or cut from a different cloth, but Ja is, man. Ja want to cut your head every time he plays. It don't matter if it's LeBron, he gonna give you a 40 piece. It don't matter if it's Brooklyn, he gonna give you a 40 piece. He is going at your star. He will not allow, right now, when you watch the Memphis Grizzlies and Ja is on the floor, he will not allow the so-called superstar that's coming in the building to be better than Ja Morant. And that is AI energy. If we think back, look, I followed AI. You know AI as well as anybody, but I followed AI when he was at Georgetown. And when he would get into the middle of the lane, you just could not believe he was finna yoke on a 7-footer. You did not think that he had that type of mentality. We talked about physicality of the game with the Warriors and the Bulls. Ja never shies away from going to the rack against anybody. I just get that type of energy from him, and I not only get it in basketball, man, I get it culturally because remember, it took us a while to really understand what AI was doing in the NBA because we were so used to 6'6", we were so used to the tall man's game and being able to control and actually be the one option on a basketball team. AI changed all of that. Ja done took down the Warriors. Ja done took down all of the top teams, all of the teams that we consider the best. And his team right now is sitting in the Western Conference and finally starting to get looked at as who they are as a team. But it's Ja. His energy is big and it's very AI-like when I watch him play basketball.
And Monica,
you know, Swagoo, I love. What's up?
Monica, you compare him to Russell Westbrook, but Russell Westbrook up to this point hasn't won a championship. Ja Morant, the way things are going right now, it looks like a title could certainly be in his future. Do you agree with that?
I do, Charlie, and I'm glad that you said that because that's exactly what I was going to say to Swagoo. But I think when you look at AI's career, that piece is missing too. And so this is a huge compliment to who Ja Morant is, that we are parsing apart the games of a guy that holds the triple-double record, of a guy that was a cultural icon. I mean, if you want to throw in handles, I mean, you could throw in some of Kyrie, which I know Chauncey Billups had really powerful statements to say. And so what we're seeing in Ja, quite honestly, I don't know that we have seen packaged this way. There are certainly pieces of his game that give you AI energy, Russell Westbrook energy. Name your guy that is explosive and a heady point guard and a tremendous leader. But I think what is going to be the most unique about what Ja did, and Big Perk said this, Swagoo, and I agree with it, I do think that he will be the next small market guy to bring a championship to his city because in this era of NBA, guys are looking around. You got a piece or two. I don't know what's going to happen with the Celtics, but hypothetically, if I'm Jaylen Brown and I know something's amiss up there,
100%.
Ja is a guy that people are going to want to play with. And so I'm not saying that is the trade, but what is happening in Memphis, literally, like last night you're watching that game and you're thinking, oh, these young fellas fitting to run the Warriors out the gym. Like, and not disrespectful to the Warriors, but there is such a tremendous energy and youth and identity with this Memphis Grizzlies group, and Ja Morant is the head of that snake, for sure.
Man, I got to be honest with you, and a lot of it is basketball, right? I think Ja, I'm about to deaf to my mentions, but Ja is more skilled than Russell Westbrook. That's probably why I don't put him, as far as explosive, I put him in that category, but skill-wise, and one thing we didn't give AI a lot of credit for because we got so enamored with the crossover against Jordan, we got so enamored with his toughness, we didn't give him a lot of credit for his unbelievable athletic ability and his skill, like his skill as a basketball player. We didn't talk about that because AI was so polarizing, and it's hard to be as polarizing as AI now because of social media. Everybody got a draw and attention. You got different markets and all of that. But I'm telling you,
and he did it already.
But I'm telling you, when I watch Ja, man, it's an excitement about watching him play the game that I haven't got from a lot of guys recently. Like Giannis is very exciting to watch, but it's limited skill-wise. You legit don't know what Ja gonna do. You legit have no idea.
On either side.
Once he leaves the floor, blessings to Ja. I'm just glad we have a young face that could potentially become the face of the NBA. We got a young face in Ja Morant that could potentially become that guy.
And you know what, Monica, like you said,
I'm with you.
it really might be quite an incredible thing, the fact that he is with a small market team. I mean, these small market teams now being on the level where they can demand that respect. I mean, even you look at the game last night, I was reading in an ESPN article how Ja clapped back. It was in jest, of course, but he clapped back at a little kid who was wearing a Warriors jersey because he's like, we're Memphis. Why are you wearing that jersey here? You're in our building. What are you doing? So I like that.
Charlie and Mud, I ain't gonna lie though. Like, and Memphis, don't get mad at me, but could y'all imagine if this was happening in Madison Square Garden? Could y'all imagine what it would be like if he was doing this in New York? Oh my God! Now Memphis, Memphis, you got your one, and I hope Ja stay there because Ja seems to love the place and the culture, and the Memphis has embraced him. But I just couldn't imagine what it would be like if he was in New York.
But you know what, Swagoo? To that note, Swagoo, this to me, anything you read about Ja and his South Carolina roots, even Murray State, like, I actually think in many ways it is perfect that he is in Memphis. You talk about totality of the brand. You know what I mean?
You're right. Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, he's certainly fun to watch, and I'm sure we can expect a whole lot more from him.
I ain't trying to get rid of Ja, Memphis. Don't come at me. I ain't trying to get him out of there.
Yeah, right. You probably will have some people in your Twitter mentions coming up, Marcus. Okay, you two, let's keep it moving because still to come, Bill Belichick is synonymous with winning, but has his time winning Super Bowls come to an end? Plus, we have seen good and we've seen, well, very bad from.
Are off, and a lot of that has got to do with availability of your players at that time. We're in good shape. We're in real good shape right now, and so we should be excited and be planning on it.
Hey, Harry, if the 49ers win, you got to wear one of them damn see-through shirts on Herb got on in that promo. You got to come on the show next week.
Wait, who's doing what?
What's up?
What the hell, Herb was going to the club with that picture that night.
I don't know what he got.
Listen, man, I understand. Like football, let's talk football first, right? I understand why people feel how they feel about the 49ers. They're the one team where you know the identity of what they want to be and will be throughout football games. And they play that way. They play a physical brand of football. It's a very confusing run game to stop. You have your issues when you play against the 49ers. But the 49ers have their issues too. And this energy of the 49ers or the draw that should make the Cowboys afraid, I'm just not on board with that. It's a lot of things you got to think about playing against the Cowboys as well. And I get it. I understand what it has looked like from an offensive standpoint at times during the season. But we've also seen the Cowboys be one of the more explosive offenses. We don't know what the outcome or what the terms will be in which this game will be played. It's the playoffs. It's for everything. I'm sure every team, every game will be laying it all out there. But what I want to see in this game in particular is, because it seems to me everybody thinks or believes that this team is dangerous, and I always equate that to your quarterback being able to be a consistent playmaker in the playoffs. Go back 20 years, go back before we was covering it. That's really what it usually boils down to. At some point, your quarterback is going to have to come up with big plays. I'm betting on Dak Prescott. Okay, before I bet on Jimmy Garoppolo. I understand what I understand what the dilemma is with Deebo Samuel. I know that he is the catalyst for what they want to do offensively on this football team. So I'm looking forward to it. I just don't like all of this energy. Like the Cowboys should just forfeit the damn game because the 49ers are a tough draw in the playoffs. Miss me with that.
Swagoo.
Listen, I love this energy, and I'm so happy that we're
high.
revisiting this conversation, Harry, because I know you had a very hot take in the first hour when we first brought up this debate. So I ask you, do you think the Super Bowl or bust mentality is one that the Cowboys should be having right now?
Charlie, it don't matter. They losing in the first round.
There you go.
I just told y'all that.
See,
it don't matter. They losing in the first round.
Your issue was with Harry. It's not with me. It's really not with me.
I've been high on the 49ers the last 4 or 5 weeks. I went on Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max, and people crucified me because I said the 49ers were the best team in the NFC West. They thought I was crazy, but I'll be damned. They didn't blew the Rams out twice. I mean, they ain't blow them out the second time, but they physically imposed their will the first time around. They were down 17, came back and won that game. I think the 49ers, I'm just saying, they imposed so many things. The Cowboys defense Those guys that they got over there are aggressive. Kyle Shanahan is about to have all kind of misdirection going on. He about to boot and waggle. And if they decide they want to play man coverage in the back end, you have star players. When I mean star players, guys who can do a multiplicity of different things offensively for the 49ers. You got Juszczyk, you got George Kittle, you have Deebo Samuel, you have the other little wide receiver. I can't even think of his name right now. Y'all got me so upset over there. You got Brandon Ayuk. Yep. But then here's another one, right? We don't know what packages Kyle Shanahan throwing in for Trey Lance right now for this playoff game. He may have been saving it just for this game right here. So when I look at Dan Quinn defensively, Dan Quinn got some stuff on his shoulders to try to put up with a game plan with the San Francisco 49ers offensively.
Like everybody else in the NFL.
Yeah, Marcus, my only point earlier was not that the Cowboys have no chance in this game. I think people would feel a lot better, more confident about the Cowboys if we would see them play consistently throughout the year. Every week that we would see the offense come out sluggish, every time we would see the Cowboys play well against an NFC East opponent, scoring 40 points a game, and then they play somebody else in another division.
No, what is that?
You know, they're 6-5 against other teams outside of the NFC East. You know, that's not about emotion or feeling. Those are just facts.
It's concerning.
They score almost half as many points against other teams versus the Giants, Washington, and the Eagles. So it's not about emotion. It's just any team facing the 49ers right now, that would be a tough draw.
I get it.
But if we see
Kmart, just say it to him like this. Kmart, just say it to him like this, Kmart. They have one win versus teams who have 10 wins or more. They only got one. Just say it like that.
But it's not. See, I'm not like picking the 49ers. I'm not out there with you, Harry.
I'm getting them riled up today.
I'm just trying to get my brother. I'm trying to get Marcus to understand.
A team who has 10 wins or more.
But y'all gotta stop. Like y'all have to stop this,
with
man.
Facts?
We all understand. We all are in agreement about the 49ers. Guys, listen. The 49ers lost 7 games. Dallas lost 5. Okay? That's fact. That's what we're looking at.
San Francisco also plays in a tougher division than the Cowboys.
Kim,
that's fact, right?
Kim,
right?
Kim, let me ask you a question. Didn't all of us say that the Colts would walk into Jacksonville and dominate and win? Did not every person on this network, probably in the world?
Let's not go there, okay?
So, hold on, Charlie, I'm sorry. I know this is very personal to you. I'm sorry, Charlie.
It is. You had to throw it in there.
So here's my point, y'all. Here's my point, okay? Because y'all know how much I care about the Cowboys. But my point, for real, on a serious note, my point is this. Matchups matter in the NFL, and when we get to the playoffs, it's very important to try to find those matchups. Nobody matches up well with the 49ers when they're doing what they do at their best. My point is, nobody matches up with Dallas either. Can we all agree that when Dallas plays at their ceiling offensively, who are you taking in this game?
I agree with you. I agree with you 100%.
We are with
no one is disagreeing with that.
They are forced to be reckoned with. The thing is that we don't know if they're going to be hitting on all cylinders.
Y'all got to stop acting like the energy ain't been all about what the 49ers do well. Come on now, Kim, you're rolling your eyes. Is it true or not?
It's not. I can't speak to what other people are saying.
Since this matchup has been made, has the energy been geared towards Dallas should be worried, the 49ers, has it not?
It's simple as fact is this is a tough draw for the Cowboys. That's a fact. That's a fact.
I know, and it's also, but the fact is also it's a tough draw for the 49ers.
Yes.
That's my point. My point is the way we talk about this. That's just
Harry
like we looking at the playoffs, right? And we got the Pittsburgh Steelers playing the Kansas City Chiefs. We all expect that to be a blowout because it was 31-10 in the first matchup, right? That's we all in agreement. Y'all know how this go. Y'all have covered this game, know this game as well as I. Whoever identity takes hold usually in the playoffs is the team that wins the game. That's how it goes. So I get it. When the 49ers are playing peak and they don't have to depend on Jimmy Garoppolo as much, because that's another thing. Like, let me get to that, okay? Because we act like that this is not the elephant in the room.
No, there's
okay?
good Jimmy and bad Jimmy. And as soon as good Jimmy shows up, bad Jimmy comes through the door. Yes,
Right.
he shows up to the party.
So,
I understand.
so my question is always, who are you really betting on in this game to perform better at the most important position?
Which team has been to the Super Bowl most recently?
Kim.
I'm just saying.
Hey,
I'm just saying.
she
Like
got
I've seen Jim.
She got
I've
a
covered.
point.
You talk about covering games. I was at that game. I covered that Super Bowl, so I saw that 49ers
My question
game.
had nothing to do with the Super Bowl. I
But I'm
said, what quarterback are you taking in this game?
I would take Dak, of course. I would take Dak, but it's not
Harry?
just Dak playing this game. That's all.
Listen, I'm not doing this with you
Harry,
today.
stop smiling.
I picked the 49ers to win
Harry,
the game,
I
and that's
need an
it.
answer.
Charlie, take it away.
I need an answer, Harry. I need an answer.
Yeah, Marcus, do you feel
But
validated
you know
now?
what I'm going to say, bro. You know.
Is that
Because
what
I just
you
tweeted
wanted?
about
Do you feel
Jimmy G
validated?
threw that interception against the Rams. I was so livid and so hot.
Right. So
but then
this
he
is,
came back and
this
played
is,
well.
This is my
but
only
still,
point.
if
This
I
is
gotta
my
pick a
only point.
quarterback,
This is your
it's gonna
only
be
and
Dak.
last point. Here we
Only
go.
and last,
This is my only
Marcus.
point.
We
This is
gotta
my only
go.
point of why I asked that question. Because once we see if the 49ers are not dominant on the ground, I'm going to be texting y'all and tweeting y'all about this game. I will be doing that live during the game, and I want this
feel like I'm
same
getting
type of
hit by
energy
strays
that
that
the
are meant for
Cowboys
Harry.
should
Like,
forfeit the game
I
because
don't
they
know.
drew the
I don't-
49ers.
Okay, well, everyone, I guess keep your mentions open because Marcus is going to be
Keep
all
them
up in
mugs
them during
open.
that game this
Almost
weekend.
cursed.
All right.
Charlie, take us away.
Stay ready, everybody. Okay, let's keep it moving. Unfortunately, we cannot come back to this conversation, but I'm sure if we did, it would be equally as entertaining. So thank
Man, I
you,
love y'all,
everybody
man.
here.
I love y'all. This is
Okay,
so
it is
fun.
going to be a very, very cold one when the Patriots take on the Bills this weekend. Like, I'm talking really cold. So which of these teams will have the edge in Buffalo?
Times in the season, we know each other extremely well. They know us, we know them. So it's whoever can adjust quicker, whoever can show a different look that maybe the first go around or the second go around we've seen and throw a different wrinkle into it. So again, and that's why Coach Belichick is, one of the, if not the greatest coach of all time, just his ability to switch things up for a quarterback and make you see different things.
Okay, so Bill Belichick better have his lucky sweatshirt on. In fact, he might want to double up because game time, the temperature is expected to be 0 degrees. That is absolutely absurd. So, Marcus, it is going to be the third time these teams have played this season. Very cold. Who do you see having the edge in this game?
Let me just process 0 degrees before we start doing our job. I mean, I don't know.
I'm just happy I'm not going to be there.
I done played in some
of
bitter,
us will be
cold,
out
adverse weather,
Are you?
but golly. Kim, you on the sideline for that, Kim?
Not this
No.
one.
Okay,
I'm
Mark.
in Kansas City for Sunday night.
That ain't nothing, man.
it's
That's
cold there,
nothing.
too.
That 0
It's
degrees
cold
is
there,
too. Cold
nothing.
there, too.
That
I
0
don't know how-
degrees is
I don't know
nothing.
how
Pray
you-
for the reporters, please.
I don't know how
Pray.
you continue to look so good and graceful in them
I told
elements
her.
that you be in. K-Mark, you know me. I ain't
She
lying
has
to
some
you.
special
You know
tricks,
I ain't
though,
saying
like
nothing I don't really believe. So blessings to you in that weather in Kansas City too, because it's gonna be cold as hell. Listen, I think the Bills gonna win the game. And I truly believe it's because of Josh Allen. And that's period. His legs and his ability to just lead a team. I'm not there yet with Mac Jones in an adverse situation. If the New England Patriots can't dominate this game in the form that they need to and allow him to play from a place of comfort. Josh Allen is built on playing from uncomfortable situations. He has the ability to get himself out of trouble, and we saw that in the second matchup. Now, sometimes he plays YOLO ball, and you got to be nervous about turnovers, but more than anything, I think his legs will be the difference in this game, and it forces defense to have to respect that, and you can't just stay in your same rhythm and same vein when you're playing against guys like this. I said this the other day, right? When we saw Cam Newton in his heyday, in his prime, I remember being a part of game plans defensively. And one of the emphasis was when this guy breaks contain, it is hard to get him on the ground. That's who Josh Allen is. When he gets to your second level, it is very difficult to not only get to him, but to tackle him. And I think that's going to present some challenges, especially in this weather situation for the New England Patriots. So I got the Bills.
Yeah, Marcus, so do I. I thought you said something really good. I believe it was NFL Live yesterday when you talk about cold weather games and when you got to hit people. And it feels like that shock of that jolt of electricity going through your body. I think that's a really important point because Josh Allen, he's built like a tight end. He's a big dude. He is a big dude. And having to hit him, take him down, sometimes the Bills do rely on him too much to be everything at all times. But that's actually the thing that I think will be the difference maker, like you said.
Okay, so you all have the Bills winning. I am already cold, everybody. I just want to say I got a chill going through my body when I said that 0 degrees. So God bless everybody on that field this weekend. Okay, so let's talk about Bill Belichick. Do you think, Marcus, that he has won his last Super Bowl?
No. Did he announce he retired next year or something?
No, not that I know of.
Right? Listen, here's the thing. The league is difficult, right? And we don't know ultimately what Mac Jones is going to turn into. But based on what I've seen Bill Belichick have the ability to do with a rookie quarterback and kind of coach with and around that at times and have his team in the playoffs. Remember, y'all, this was an abysmal season for this team last year. We were trying to figure out what is Bill Belichick really as a general manager. Well, some people were. I thought he was a damn good GM and head coach. But the bottom line is I can't count him out yet because I don't know how many years he has left. I think Mac Jones has a high enough ceiling with his ability to be a Super Bowl type caliber quarterback. I don't believe he's there yet. Obviously, he's a rookie, and we've seen him kind of fall by the wayside when it's all on his shoulders to either bring his team back or teams have made them commit to throwing the ball downfield. But that maturation process will take place. I think he'll continue to add players. He'll see deficiencies that he needs and give himself a chance. You got to get to the playoffs to have a chance to do it. And I don't see Bill Belichick not being a part of the playoff picture for whatever the foreseeable future is with the New England Patriots. So I don't think he's won his last one. I give him just as much opportunity to win it as I give any other coach. It's just the maturation process with his quarterback. How fast can that go in order for us to believe that that offense can be that type of offense to win a bowl?
Yeah, I think otherwise. I think he's won his last Super Bowl. I don't think he's going to get any more. Because the simple fact, because I think, well, I'm just saying, I think because the simple fact that you got to look at the total poll in the AFC, right? You look at all these young quarterbacks that are coming up and thriving. These guys ain't going anywhere anytime soon. And I understand, I like Mac Jones, but he's not those quarterbacks. He's not Joe Burrow. He's not Justin Herbert. He's not Lamar Jackson. He's not any of those guys. Patrick Mahomes, and Josh Allen, I can even throw in there as well. So you have all those quarterbacks that you got to deal with who are going to be around for probably the next 10 to 15 years. So I just think the run for Bill Belichick and winning Super Bowls have come to a halt.
Yeah, I just think, listen, you're talking about the greatest coach of all time, right?
Yes. Well, no, not greatest coach of all time, just says Bill won his last Super Bowl.
No, I'm saying Bill is the great.
Yes.
He's arguably the greatest coach of all time. So for Harry to be so disrespectful and say this could be the end, I'm not going with Harry on that, no.
Harry, you saying he can't get
that was an easy answer.
If he
no.
How old is Bill Belichick? He in his 70s, right? He's 70, what?
Like
70,
60,
71,
like 60,
something like that?
Something.
I give him another at least 8 years of coaching. At least.
Yeah, I mean.
That's a lot of time, man, for a great coach.
Every time someone tries to count against Bill Belichick, they are quickly proven wrong. So I have to imagine this is going to be the same instance.
Tom Brady must be coming back to play in New England.
Oh, my God. Oh, my. Wouldn't that just be
Tom
it?
Brady coming back?
We thought we'd seen everything. Just you wait. Okay, we got to keep it moving because we still have more NFL to get to. Like, who would you rather have as your quarterback, Carson Wentz or Baker Mayfield? Last night, posting 29 points and 8 assists, the 116-108 final marks the Grizzlies' 10th straight win, a franchise record. So, Ja, how about that respect?
How close are you getting to thinking you're getting the respect that this team deserves?
Well, I bet you we got it now. Go on social media. You know, we're one of the best teams in the league. I feel like, you know, that's number one. And number two, I feel like, you know, we're showing, you know, how deep our roster is. You know, no matter, you know, what's thrown at us, you know, we bounce back from it and, you know, come out and, you know, win games. We got to keep it rolling, continue to play together, continue to battle.
Keep it rolling. I'm sure they will. And talk about respect. Stephen A. tweeting this last night. My apologies to the Memphis Grizzlies. I have slept on these brothers. I know Ja Morant is special, but I love their size, athleticism, depth, and perimeter shooting. This team is a legitimate threat in the West. They have my attention. Okay. And Magic Johnson also giving props on Twitter, saying Ja Morant is must-see TV and has taken over as the most exciting player in the league, averaging 24.6 assists and 5 rebounds. So 2 very strong endorsements right there. So with that, Jay, would you say that Ja Morant is in fact the most exciting player in the game?
I think they're all the flashes that Steph has. But see, for me personally, I value elite athleticism over long-range shooting, Monica, right? Like, there's no doubt he's the most entertaining and electrifying player there is in the league, because at 6'1", 6'2", even though they have him probably listed a little bit higher, you know he's realistically 6'1", 6'2", a $185. He is fearless and relentless with his ability to attack the rim. And I'm talking about over a 40-inch vertical that can contort his body in the air a variety of different ways and has an uncanny feel and awareness for how to create those shots. I mean, I'll give you a prime example of why I think he's the most entertaining player in the league. Versus the Lakers, that block, I'm watching the game.
Oh, my goodness, stop.
That block,
stop right
Charlie,
there.
I'm watching the game, that block, right? And I stand up out of my seat. I'm holding my 9-month-old son. I stand up out of my seat like, damn, what the hell? And then when you see the freeze frame, right, as hoopers, Monica, you know this. You know how hard it is to jump off 2 feet? His armpits are at the bottom of the backboard, and his 2 hands are above the 90-degree angle of where the square meets. I have not seen a player of that size do something like that before in every single game. It's 5 or 6 plays where you're literally, your mouth is dropped to the floor. I mean, if I had the chance to see one NBA game the whole year, courtside, one NBA game, I would go see Ja Morant play, because that's how I feel about the Memphis Grizzlies, and that's how I feel about him as a player.
I would like to take this moment to ask my bosses at ESPN to please send me to Memphis for a game as a reporter on the broadcast team.
It's a big ask, but a good one.
I'm with you, Jay. I am 100% with you. And I think while Steph is still someone that we love watching, and he's such a tactician, particularly the way that he moves off of the basketball, and the long-range shooting is tremendous. One, we've seen it, and Ja is quite honestly fresh and new. And there is an uncertainty about what he's going to do on both sides of the ball that I don't think that we would apply to Steph's game just yet. Yes, that block was insane. I don't know what kind of sorcery, athleticism, whatever you want to call it, it was. But in general, even if he's not making that type of block, he can defend one-on-one, pick somebody's pocket, get a steal when his team needs it. And so I just think the nature of Ja's game, himself being a highlight, but also even last night, he's given amazing passes. I remember the play, I believe it was in the 3rd quarter, the alley-oop to Kyle Anderson. The way that he makes plays for the remainder of his team and not just what he can do, there's just so many facets in terms of why Ja is must-see TV right now.
And Charlie, I know Golden State played without Draymond Green, but this Memphis team also played without Steven Adams and Dillon Brooks. And we all know Dillon Brooks is an absolute dog defensively and can space the floor.
Okay, so really quick before we move on, I want to ask this, Jay. Russell Westbrook has been referred to as the most athletic point guard in the game, but has Ja Morant taken that place?
I don't know. It's hard for me because there's still a dude that plays for the Chicago Bulls. His name is Zach LaVine, and he's been able to do some things I've never seen done before athleticism-wise. But Ja's definitely in that upper echelon. He's top 3, no doubt about it.
And Monica, what do you say to that?
I'm going to go ahead and do it, Jay and Charlie. I'm going to go ahead and do it. I'm going to give it to Ja right now. I think when you look at his body composition, that's what makes him unique. And I'm one who hates in the dunk contest. We give extra points to the smaller guys, blah, blah, blah. But in this case, I think when you look at his size and the way that he's able to finish, being guarded by a Russell Westbrook, there's something there. I'm going to go ahead and give it to Ja right now.
All right. Yeah, definitely putting the league on notice. And with that loss, the Warriors fall to 2nd in the West behind the Suns. But do you still, Monica, consider the Warriors to be the best team in the league?
I am not in on the Warriors as the best team in the league currently. I still think that the Milwaukee Bucks are the best team in the league until proven otherwise. You look at what they've been able to do, particularly the other night against Brooklyn, without some key players on that roster. You talk about Holiday being unavailable, amongst other players. This is an organization. And Jay, remember we had this conversation last year. I said there's something happening in Milwaukee in terms of a squad that is able to just go ho-hum along the train tracks, moving along, getting better every day, perhaps without some of the fanfare and some of the eyeballs. Meanwhile, if you have the opportunity to see that team in person or to talk with folks around that organization, they're just steadily getting better. And there's still this notion that Giannis has another layer to go. And while Giannis is the focal point, I think you look at all the pieces around that team, particularly the addition of Grayson Allen in the offseason. Obviously, Holiday continues to get better, so does Middleton. And yes, they, like every other team in the league, have battled through some COVID protocols and injuries and such. But I just think there's such a strong identity in terms of what the Bucks do that they are just on the track, moving forward, and they're going to show up and be just as ready as they were last year.
You are talking about the team that lost their last 4 or 5. I know that you did pick the Nets, and that was a big game by Giannis. And yes, they are dealing with issues. But when I look at this question, Monica, are the Warriors still the team to beat? And this is no disrespect to the defending world champions, because we all watched what they did last year. But there's still a major part of people wonder what Brooklyn could have been like if Kevin Durant didn't wear a size 14 as opposed to a 15, right? If James Harden wasn't hindered in that matchup, or if this team had Kyrie when they played, there's a lot of questions around that. Now, I'm not taking anything away from a championship. They won it fair and square. It was theirs. But when you think about this Warriors team's second best record in the entire league, Draymond Green has been hurt with a calf injury. Klay Thompson coming back. It just feels like this is reminiscent of those reigning championship Warrior teams with the way they play. They have the youth in Jordan Poole, Kuminga. They have the pieces, and the way Steph and Klay coming back, just the way they operate. Andrew Wiggins, even though he didn't play that well last night, the floor spacing, the continuity that they have, it just feels like this is set up for them to be the team that everybody has to start focusing on. Now, I know Milwaukee's there. I know we're not even talking about the Bulls. We're not talking about in Miami. We're not talking about the Nets. Phoenix Suns are a great team as well. It just feels like the team that carries all the energy right now, that has all the momentum, that has the eyes of everybody in the league, is the Golden State Warriors.
Jay, and I agree with you, but I am just waiting for some of the dog days of the NBA season, which are inevitable. Even when you talk about, I hate to use this word because it's Steph, but the mini slump that Steph has been on in terms of shooting, right? And the energy that you wonder, maybe there was that emotional high when Klay returned and perhaps a little bit of a drop off versus Memphis. Not that I think that Memphis did not earn that win, truly, but I wonder if the way that you are talking, the way that I'm talking, the attention that is on this Warrior squad, yes, Klay, Draymond, and Steph been there, done that, have handled it, have navigated it. But I just am a little bit curious to see how those role players continue to evolve. And while the addition of Klay Thompson makes this team better and he has looked tremendous, that is in and of itself is a bit of an adjustment. And so, again, we're parsing hairs here, right? But I just think that, again, similar to what we saw last year, the Bucks are sort of quietly going about their business.
And Monica, you said, though, the Bucks are quietly going about their business.
Quietly,
the question is, who is the team to beat? Did you see Ja Morant last night? Do you finally get the respect?
Nothing quiet about that.
Check Twitter, right? Like, there's something about Klay Thompson, potentially the second greatest shooter to ever play the game. Stephen Curry breaking the three-point record this season in Madison Square Garden. Draymond Green having his own podcast, talking trash about everybody, saying that we're back. There's something about this team that makes them have a huge target on their back.
Big presence.
Even considering they got bounced last year in the playoff game, in the play-in game by the Memphis Grizzlies. That's why, to me, like, they are the team to beat right now. I'm not saying they're going to be the team to win it, but they're the team to beat right now.
I got you.
And despite being against the dominant Grizzlies last night, Steph Curry did post a triple-double. This is the first season since 2015 he's had multiple triple-doubles in a season. So just imagine he stays on this, on this track record. Klay shakes off all the rust, and Draymond Green comes back healthy. It's going to be tough to see who can beat the Warriors. But you two, sit tight. We're going to bring you back in just a bit because we do have to get to some football right now. So, everyone, it's time to let out a sigh of relief because Giants fans, Joe Judge is gone, okay? The coach is out after 2 seasons, after being with the Giants for these 2 years, posting a record of 10-23. The move comes a day after general manager Dave Gettleman retired after 4 seasons on the job. Now, despite Judge's record, his job did seem safe, at least, for a little bit, but it all hit the fan after the quarterback sneak in Sunday's season finale that caught the attention of everybody, including that bad man, Aaron Rodgers.
Still must be a part of, kneeling the out to take a tie. I would lose my mind. You know what would make me lose my mind almost as much as that? 3rd and 9 on the -5.
Oh.
Let's go in goal line personnel and run a QB sneak.
Yeah, you would call timeout there. We'd audible.
Call that one in, Matt, and let's see what happens. That ain't flying.
Oh, that would be awesome. Fourth quarter.
Unbelievable. The breakdown that Orlovsky had on that was pretty amazing.
Aaron Rodgers, you know what? As much as the slack he gets, you got to love the guy. Now, Giants owner John Mara said after the firing, quote, "I said before the season started that I wanted to feel good about the direction we were